The Normal Public Library Board has accepted a $5.1 million bid to remove asbestos from the library in Uptown and renovate the newer section of the building, this to match reconstruction on the older part of the structure. There will also be some excavation and foundation work on the north side of the building to address drainage issues and cracking. In this interview with WGLT's Charlie Schlenker, Library Director John Fisher says the library could close as early as mid to late March for about 9 months. During the renovation and abatement, Fisher says the library will continue to offer services.
That's going to be tricky for us, and we'll really partner with the community on that. We're looking at alternate spaces that are in Uptown, hopefully some spaces that are adjacent to us. Difficult to say today, since I don't have any of those things concrete. Within walking distance of the library, all Uptown locations. It's still an unknown for me when possession of the building will take place for construction. So once I know that, staff, trustees, and I can work together to really lay down that plan and then start communicating to the community, where can you reach us? Now, some things we already know. We've been planning alternate locations for programs for quite a while, just as a backup, just in case. So sort of like we did for the pandemic, we were in the public parks. We were in Town of Normal buildings at the Community Activity Center. We continue to partner with many of our partnering organizations, ISU included, the Illinois Arts Station, the Bloomington Public Library, various organizations that will support us. And it's interesting to note, when Bloomington started their renovation about 2 years ago, we were a partner for them. And in fact, we held a Spanish-speaking book club in our facility for them. So I can see partnerships like that increasing again over the next year.
Where are you going to put the books in the meanwhile?
Yeah. So that's going to be tricky for staff too. We're going to be shuffling a little bit. So we will empty out the 70s building so that it can be gutted and abated. Once it's renovated, we can start to move over to that facility and empty out, to some degree, the 90s building so they can put in new carpeting and wall coverings and lighting.
So most of it won't go off-site.
That's the plan. We do have a facility in mind where, and I believe an agreement set so that we can store some books should we need to. We will be boxing up a portion, but a very small portion. Our collection is somewhere around 190,000 items. I would estimate close to 10-15% of that we may box.
What kind of in-person services adjacent, as you said, to the existing structure would be possible? You mentioned the programs, but what other services?
Right. The adjacent services we hope to offer are those most critical. We see community members needing to have access to Wi-Fi, needing to have access to a computer, online applications, communication, social media, email, and we want to continue to offer those services. I believe it will be limited, but if we can maintain those services throughout this entire process, I think we're all the better. And then, of course, book pickup. We'll be able to gather materials for any community member that's looking for a hold. We'll still have our interlibrary loan in play, so we should have delivery Monday through Friday, just as we do. And as those materials come in, we'll notify the community when and where they can pick those items up. We'll do curbside, just as we do today. We'll do browser packs, just as we do today, and perhaps that will increase as it did in 2020. So we're really excited to offer those services in different ways. Oh, I didn't even mention printing services, faxing services, scanning services. All of those services we hope to continue to offer in a very smaller adjacent location. And we really hope to have a spot where we can have the daily newspaper and the magazines or a small portion of the magazines that we carry for folks who want to come in and just do a little reading.
This is Sound Ideas. I'm Charlie Schlenker. We're talking with John Fisher, the director of the Normal Public Library. Your staff will have periods of intense activity and during construction a lot of downtime. What are you going to do with them?
What we'll likely see is that even though the amount of programming might remain the same, the fact that it's off-site sort of increases staffing needs. So we'll probably be sending part-time staff out with our librarians as supports. I think there'll be a lot of communication between buildings, and we'll need to have some sort of conveyance system set up. We've talked about ways that we can get books from the shelf over to whatever location that may be, and then ultimately in the hands of the community. We don't anticipate any layoffs of part-time staff. We don't anticipate any need to cut staff for any reason. That said, as staff leave the library for their own reasons, it's possible that we don't replace them right away.
The Library Foundation has committed $250,000 to a special project, the reworking of a portion of the upstairs into a makerspace. What will the foundation contribution go to?
I think the ultimate cost is very near the amount that was generously donated from the foundation to the library for this project. Their commitment to support the library and all that it does really is unwavering, and this gesture is appreciated immensely. This makerspace will not be unlike makerspaces that we see in other libraries, even on university campuses here in town. Of course, we don't want to just duplicate and replicate what's happening here. So staff are very careful to examine what's happening on the university campus here at ISU, at Wesleyan, what Bloomington Public Library will be doing in their maker labs, and we'll want to augment for the community services that we offer. We already offer quite a bit in terms of 3D printing, in terms of access to sewing machines and Cricut machines, so all of that will increase. And then we'll look at other devices, technology, and this space.
Like what?
Oh, well, laser engravers, maybe laser cutters, emerging technologies for maker spaces. But I think we also want to continue to focus on makerspace activities and makerspace technology that is a little more traditional and a little less advanced, so that we can address the needs of our entire community, including children and teens.
So that means 3D printing. There are a variety of levels of 3D printers, ranging from simple plastic accretion to titanium granules and lasers. Where is your sweet spot in that continuum?
Yeah, I think that's an unknown, but staff are looking at those options. Right now, it's all additive. We're just doing very simple 3D printing with PLA filament. I think we're looking at sublimation printers, but that is yet undecided. And that portion is coming up really rather quickly for us to decide. We'll work with the design team that we've been working with thus far on furnishings for the library and items like what the makerspace will have.
That's Normal Public Library Director John Fisher talking with WGLT's Charlie Schlenker. This about the $5.1 million asbestos abatement and renovation project. The library will pay for the work with reserves and up to $2 million in debt funded by the property tax levy over 10 years. That has already worked into the existing levy.